Millionaire leaves children with ex-wife and finds them searching for food in the trash. Michael Thompson felt the weight of guilt on his shoulders as he hurried down Fifth Avenue in the heart of New York City. It had been 6 months since he signed the divorce papers and gave custody of the children to Jennifer, believing the generous alimony he paid monthly would be enough to ensure their well-being. That's when he saw a scene that shattered his world. A small boy, no more than 8 years old, was rummaging through a trash can near the Port Authority bus terminal. In his thin arms, he carried a cardboard box holding a baby wrapped in dirty rags. The boy was desperately searching for scraps of food among the debris. Michael felt his legs tremble. Those messy brown locks, those almond-shaped eyes that once sparkled with joy. They were his children. Ethan, his 8-year-old firstborn, and Noah, the youngest, just 10 months old. "It can't be," he murmured, his voice choked with emotion. The boy looked up at the sound of approaching footsteps. His eyes widened in fear as he recognized the man in the impeccable suit. Without hesitation, Ethan grabbed the box with his baby brother and ran through the crowded streets of downtown. Ethan, wait!" Michael shouted, dropping his executive briefcase and chasing after his son. The pursuit stretched for several blocks. The boy knew those streets well, dodging pedestrians with surprising agility for someone so small carrying a baby. Michael, though physically fit, felt his heart race not just from the effort, but from the desperation of seeing his children in that state. Ethan turned a corner and vanished. Michael stopped, panting, looking around but unable to spot them. Tears began streaming down his face as the reality sank in. His children were on the streets, starving and afraid of him. For 3 days, Michael abandoned his business commitments and roamed the streets of downtown searching for the boys. He slept little, ate poorly, and felt an anguish he had never known in his entire life of business success. It was on Thursday night that he finally found them again. This time, Ethan was sitting on the sidewalk in front of the Empire State Building, rocking his baby brother, who was crying from hunger. The boy was softly humming a lullaby Michael recognized immediately, the same one Jennifer used to sing when they were still a family. Michael approached slowly, hands raised in peace. "Ethan, my son, it's me, your father. I won't hurt you." The boy stared at him with suspicion but didn't run this time. Maybe he was too tired, or perhaps some part of him still trusted his father. "Where's your mother?" Michael asked, kneeling on the dirty sidewalk to meet his son's gaze. "Working," Ethan replied, in a voice that sounded much older than his 8 years. "She won't be back until early morning." "Working where?" Ethan hesitated before answering. "In that building over there. She cleans offices at night." Michael's heart broke. Jennifer, who had once been a marketing manager at a reputable company, was now working as a night cleaner. How had things come to this? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing, Michael convinced Ethan to let him buy them food. Sitting in a nearby diner, he watched his son devour a sandwich while holding the baby in his lap, making sure Noah got a few sips of warm milk. "Ethan, tell me what happened. Why are you on the streets?" The boy stopped eating and looked at him with a frightening maturity. "Mom lost her job the same month you separated. She didn't want to tell you because she said you were already very angry with her. She tried to find another job, but no one wanted to hire her." "But I send money every month," Barnes protested Michael. "What money?" asked Ethan, genuinely confused. It was at that moment Michael realized something was very wrong. Religiously, on the 5th of every month, he transferred a generous amount to the account his lawyer, Mr. Robert Wilson, had indicated as Jennifer's. The money left his account, but it clearly never reached his ex-wife. At 2 in the morning, Michael waited for Jennifer to leave the building where she worked. When she saw him with their 2 children, her face turned pale. "Michael, what are you doing here?" she asked, her voice trembling. She had lost a lot of weight. Her hair, once silky and well-kept, was now dry and tied back in a simple ponytail. Her clothes, though clean, were worn out, but it was her expression that shocked him the most. There was a deep sadness there, an exhaustion that went far beyond physical tiredness. "Jennifer, we need to talk. About the money I've been sending you." "What money?" She repeated the same question as her son. Michael sat with her on a bench in the nearby square and explained about the monthly transfers. Jennifer's face changed, shifting from confusion to anger, and then disbelief. "You're telling me you've been sending money all these months?" she asked, her voice rising. $5,000 every month, Jennifer, religiously. Mr. Wilson said it was going to your account." Jennifer began to cry. It wasn't a delicate cry, but deep, painful sobs of someone who had suffered greatly. I thought you had completely abandoned us, that you didn't care if Ethan and Noah went hungry." "How could you think that? They're my children." "Because that's what you did during our marriage, Michael," she snapped. "You only cared about your business, your meetings, your contracts. When was the last time you bathed Noah? When was the last time you helped Ethan with his homework?" Jennifer's words stung because they were true. During the last years of their marriage, Michael had devoted himself entirely to expanding his consulting firm. He came home late, left early, and when he was home, he always had his phone in his hand, dealing with work issues. "You're right," he admitted, lowering his head. "I was a terrible husband and a terrible father. But I never wanted you to go through this. I sent the money, Jennifer, every month." The next morning, Michael scheduled a meeting with Mr. Robert Wilson at his office in the Upper East Side. The lawyer, a middle-aged man in expensive suits and a gold watch, greeted him with his usual cordial smile. "Michael, how are you, my friend? How's business?" "Robert, I need to understand something. The money I've been sending Jennifer every month. She says she never received any of it." The lawyer's smile faltered for a split second. "That's impossible, Michael. I handle the transfers myself. There must be some misunderstanding on her part." "Show me the receipts, then." Mr. Wilson shuffled some papers on his desk, clearly nervous. Of course. I just need to, locate them in the files. You know how it is. So many clients." "Robert," Michael leaned forward, using the tone he reserved for tough negotiations, "I want to see the receipts now." After much stalling, Mr. Wilson finally admitted he had invested the money in some temporary ventures to maximize returns for Jennifer. According to him, she had authorized it in writing. "Show me the authorization." The document Mr. Wilson presented was clearly forged. Jennifer's signature looked completely different from the real one, and the date was after the divorce. "Robert, you stole my children's money," said Michael, controlling his anger. No, you've got it all wrong. It was an investment. The money is growing. In a few months, I'll return everything with interest. In a few months, my children could be..." Michael couldn't finish the sentence. That same day, Michael fired Mr. Wilson and started legal proceedings to recover all the embezzled money. He also discovered that the lawyer had used privileged information about the divorce to persuade some business acquaintances not to hire Jennifer. During the 6 months of separation, Jennifer had knocked on dozens of company doors. With her marketing experience, she should have landed a new position quickly. But she always got the same response. "We don't have any openings right now," or "We'll contact you if something comes up." What she didn't know was that Mr. Wilson, wanting to keep his embezzlement scheme running as long as possible, had spread rumors among local business owners that Jennifer was a problematic employee, fired for just cause, and was suing her ex-husband for millions. Unable to find work in her field, Jennifer took on increasingly precarious jobs. First, she worked as a sales clerk at a mall store, then as a supermarket cashier, until finally the only job left was an overnight cleaning position that paid less than minimum wage. To save on rent, she and the boys moved into a tiny room in a boarding house downtown. The room had no kitchen, just a small bathroom shared with other residents. It was there that Ethan learned to care for his younger brother while their mother worked. The routine was brutal. Jennifer left for work at 11 at night and didn't return until 6 in the morning. During that time, Ethan, just 8 years old, was responsible for Noah. He had learned to prepare bottles, change diapers, and soothe the baby when he cried. When the money ran out, which often happened by the middle of the month, Ethan would go out into the streets to look for food or things he could sell. That was how Michael found him on that fateful day. While Michael pursued legal solutions, Jennifer kept working overnight to support her children. One night, returning from work, she found Ethan feverish and Noah crying non-stop. With no money for a doctor or medicine, she spent the entire day caring for them alone. Ethan was delirious with a high fever, calling for his father between moans of pain. It was the first time in months that Jennifer considered calling Michael, but her wounded pride was still stronger than her desperation. It was Mrs. Davis, a 70-year-old woman who lived in the next room, who saved the situation. She had lost a child decades earlier, and hearing the children's cries, she couldn't stay indifferent. "Honey, let me help," she said, appearing at the door with a bag full of home remedies. Mrs. Davis became like a grandmother to Ethan and Noah. During the day, while Jennifer slept a few hours before work, she cared for the children with all the tenderness she had carried in her heart for years. "Why don't you call their father?" she asked Jennifer one day. "He doesn't care, Mrs. Davis. If he did, he would have shown up at least once in these 6 months." "Sometimes men are proud, dear. Sometimes they don't know how to show they care." Jennifer shook her head, unconvinced. "Michael only cares about money and success. The kids and I were always just a footnote in his life." But Mrs. Davis saw things differently. She had noticed Ethan always drawing the same thing: a man in a suit, a woman, 2 small children, and a house with a yard. Always the whole family, always including the father. "This boy misses his father," she said to Jennifer, "and so do you." "I don't miss him," Jennifer lied, but the tears in her eyes said otherwise. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. Meanwhile, Michael had hired a private detective to uncover every detail about his family's situation. The report was devastating. Jennifer was working 16 hours a day across 3 different jobs, sleeping no more than 4 hours a night, and had lost over 30 pounds in 6 months. The detective also discovered she had sold all her jewelry, including her wedding ring, to buy formula for Noah. The furniture from the house they lived in during their marriage had been sold piece by piece, and what remained was stored in a unit she could no longer afford. But the most painful discovery was a folder full of letters Ethan had written to his father. Jennifer intercepted them before they reached the mail, afraid they'd be ignored and break the boy's heart even more. The letters were heartbreaking. "Dad, Mom said you're really busy, but I wanted to tell you Noah is crawling now. He looks just like you. When you're not so busy, can you come visit us? I promise I'll be good. Promise. Love, Ethan. Daddy, today was my 8th birthday. Mom made a cake with flour and sugar Mrs. Davis gave us. I wished for you to come home. Do you think it'll come true? Kisses, Ethan." "Dad," Noah cried all night, and Mom cried too. "I don't know what to do anymore. Can you help us? I know you're really smart and will figure it out. Your son who loves you, Ethan." Michael cried like he hadn't since childhood, reading those words. How had he been so blind? How had he wasted so much time? The next day he showed up at the boarding house where they lived. Jennifer was asleep after a night shift, and it was Mrs. Davis who answered the door. "So, you're the father of these children," she said, not hiding her disapproval. "Yes, ma'am, and I'm here to make things right." "Your mistakes cost this family dearly, young man. That woman is working herself to death to support your children." "I know, and I'm going to fix it." Mrs. Davis studied him for a long moment before letting him in. Ethan was playing on the floor with Noah, using cardboard boxes as toys. When he saw his father, he froze. "Hi, son," Michael said, kneeling on the floor. "Did you come to get us?" Ethan asked, his voice full of hope. "I came to talk. To you and your mother." Just then, Jennifer appeared in the bedroom doorway, still drowsy. When she saw Michael there, her expression hardened. "What are you doing here?" "Jennifer, I found out about the money. Mr. Wilson was stealing it all. You never received a single cent." She stared at him for a long moment, processing the information. "And what does that change now, Michael? It's over. I've suffered. The kids have suffered. I don't need your pity." "It's not pity. It's responsibility. And love for my children." "Love?" She laughed bitterly. Where was that love when Ethan had to learn to care for a baby at 8? Where was it when I passed out from hunger at work last week? Michael felt like he'd been punched in the gut. You passed out? Twice last month, but don't worry, I always get back up. I have to because these kids depend on me. Just then, Noah started crying. Jennifer moved to pick him up, but her hands shook from exhaustion. Michael stepped forward and lifted his son for the first time in months. The baby stared at him curiously, as if trying to remember that face. Gradually, Noah began to calm down in his father's arms. "He's hungry," said Ethan, "but there's only a little milk left." Michael looked at the small refrigerator in the corner of the room. It was practically empty, just a bit of milk, some stale bread, and a bruised piece of fruit. "I'll get food for you," he said. "You don't have to," Jennifer protested. "Yes, he does," Mrs. Davis interjected, having watched everything in silence. "These children have been struggling for months. If you're their father, do your part." Michael left and returned 2 hours later with bags full of groceries, diapers for Noah, new clothes for Ethan, and medicine Jennifer needed but couldn't afford. "I don't want your charity," Jennifer said, though her voice lacked conviction. "It's not charity, it's my responsibility. I should have realized this months ago." "Why didn't you?" Ethan suddenly asked. "Why did it take so long?" The innocent question hung in the silence of the small room. Michael knelt in front of his son. "Because I was a bad father, Ethan. I thought sending money was enough. I didn't take care of you the way I should have." "But will you take care of us now?" the boy asked, hope flickering painfully in his eyes. "I'll do everything in my power to take care of you." That night, Michael slept on the floor of the small room, using his expensive jacket as a pillow. For the first time in months, Jennifer didn't have to leave for work. He had given her 2 months' salary in advance. In the early hours, Noah woke up crying. Michael got up before Jennifer could react. "Let me handle it," he murmured, lifting the baby into his arms. He prepared the bottle, changed the diaper, and rocked Noah back to sleep. Gestures he should have done hundreds of times before, but was only learning now. Jennifer watched silently, surprised by the tenderness with which Michael cared for their son. "You've changed," she said softly. "I had to. I almost lost you forever." "You already lost us, Michael. This is just you trying to ease your conscience." "Maybe it started that way," he admitted, "but now it's different. Now I understand what really matters." The next morning, Michael took the whole family to an apartment he had rented in Chinatown. It wasn't luxurious, but it was clean, safe, and had 2 bedrooms. "I'm not living with you," Jennifer said firmly. "I'm not asking you to. I'm offering a decent place for you and the kids. They need stability." Ethan explored the new apartment excitedly. There was a bed just for him, new toys, and a fridge full of food. Noah crawled on the clean floor, free from the dangers of their old boarding house. "Can we invite Mrs. Davis to visit?" Ethan asked. "Of course," Michael replied. "She's part of your family now." Jennifer looked at him in surprise. The Michael she knew would never have accepted a stranger in their lives. In the days that followed, Michael established a routine. He spent mornings at the office handling only the most urgent matters and afternoons with the kids, picking Ethan up from school, taking Noah to the pediatrician, shopping for the house. Jennifer, for the first time in months, could sleep 8 hours straight. She no longer had to work overnight because Michael had committed to covering all household expenses and even gave her an allowance so she could look for a better job. But distrust still lingered. For years, she had felt emotionally abandoned by Michael. Money solved their basic needs, but it didn't heal the wounds of the heart. "Why now?" she asked one afternoon, watching Michael help Ethan with his homework. "What do you mean? Why do you care now? For years, I begged you to be more involved in the kids' lives. You always said you were too busy." Michael stopped writing and looked at her. "Because I almost lost you all forever. And I realized that all the success in the world means nothing if I don't have my family. But we're not your family anymore, Michael. We're your ex-family." The words stung, but he knew she was right. They were no longer married, no longer a family in the traditional sense. But they were still the parents of the same children, and that created a bond that couldn't be broken. A week later, Michael received a call that would change everything. It was from Mr. Wilson. "Michael, my friend, I need to speak with you urgently." "We have nothing to discuss, Robert," My lawyer is already handling everything. It's about Jennifer. She's not who you think she is." A chill ran down Michael's spine. "What are you talking about?" "Meet me tonight. I have information you need to know about your ex-wife." Against his better judgment, Michael agreed to meet Mr. Wilson at a bar in Greenwich Village. The lawyer arrived visibly nervous, glancing over his shoulder as if afraid he was being followed. "Michael, what I'm about to tell you will change everything. Just say it. Jennifer, she knew about the embezzled money." "Impossible. She was my accomplice, Michael. The whole plan was her idea." Michael felt the world spin around him. "You're lying." Mr. Wilson pulled an envelope from his briefcase. "Here's the proof. Emails she sent me, planning how she would pretend to be struggling to manipulate you into giving her even more money." Michael opened the envelope with trembling hands. The emails were devastating. They appeared to show Jennifer orchestrating the entire act, from losing her job to faking financial hardship. She's a great actress, Michael. Everything was calculated to manipulate you emotionally. Michael reread the document several times. The digital signatures seemed authentic. The dates matched. Even the writing style was familiar. "Why?" he asked, his voice barely audible. "Money, of course. She wanted a much larger alimony than what you agreed to in the divorce. The plan was to make you feel guilty, then demand a fortune." Michael left the bar shattered. On his way home, his mind raced with doubts. What if it was all just an elaborate act? What if Jennifer was truly capable of using their own children in a scheme for money? When he arrived at the apartment, he found Jennifer giving Noah a bath while humming softly. Ethan was in the living room, drawing yet another family portrait. "Dad," the boy shouted when he saw him, "look what I drew for you." The picture showed the four of them together in a park, all smiling. In the corner of the page, Ethan had written in his childlike handwriting, "My happy family." Michael looked at Jennifer, who gave him a timid smile. At that moment, she seemed genuinely happy and relieved. But were those real feelings, or just part of a grand performance? That night, he barely slept. What if Mr. Wilson was right? What if it was all just an elaborate lie? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The next morning, Michael decided to test his suspicions. He arrived at the apartment earlier than usual and caught Jennifer on the phone. "Yes, it's working perfectly," she whispered. "He believes everything. No, you can't come here now. We'll talk more later." She hung up quickly when she saw Michael. "Who were you talking to?" he asked, trying to keep his voice casual. "Oh, it was Mrs. Davis. She wanted to know how we were doing." But Michael had clearly heard Jennifer say he during the call, not she. And the conspiratorial tone didn't match an innocent conversation with the elderly lady. During the day, he observed Jennifer more closely. Small details that had previously gone unnoticed began to jump out at him, like how she always knew exactly what to say to touch him emotionally, how her tears seemed to appear at the most convenient moments, how she always changed the subject when he asked for details about the time she spent at the boarding house. That night, after the children fell asleep, Michael confronted Jennifer. "Jennifer, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with me." "Of course." "Mr. Wilson showed me some documents, emails you supposedly sent him about a plan to get more money from me." Jennifer's face instantly paled. "What kind of emails?" "Emails where you two planned this whole situation. You losing your job, going through hardships to make me feel sorry for you?" Jennifer stayed silent for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was shaky. "Michael, do you really believe I'd be capable of using our children like that?" "I don't know what to believe anymore, Jennifer." She stood up from the chair, her hands trembling with anger or nervousness. He couldn't tell. "Then I'll tell you the truth, Michael. The whole truth." "I'm listening." "I found out about the embezzlement 3 months ago." Michael felt the ground give way beneath him. "How did you find out?" "Mr. Wilson came to me. He was desperate because you were starting to ask questions about the transfers. He offered me a cut of the stolen money in exchange for my silence. And you accepted? At first, yes, admitted Jennifer, tears beginning to fall. I was desperate, Michael. My children were starving. When someone offers you money to feed your kids, you don't stop to think about the morality of it. Michael sank heavily into the chair. So it was true. Jennifer was involved in the scheme. But I changed my mind, she continued. When I saw Ethan digging through the trash for food that day, I decided I couldn't live with the lie anymore. I called Mr. Wilson and told him I'd tell you everything. Was that you on the phone this morning? Yes. He was threatening me, saying if I told the truth, he'd fabricate evidence that I was the mastermind behind it all, that you'd never believe me. Michael recalled the emails Mr. Wilson had shown him. They could be fake, fabricated to protect the lawyer and pin all the blame on Jennifer. Jennifer, look me in the eyes and tell me, did our children really go hungry? Did you really work overnight as a cleaner? Did Ethan really learn to take care of Noah by himself? All of that is true, Michael, she said, sobbing. The only lie was me agreeing to stay silent about Mr. Wilson in exchange for a cut of the money, but I never actually received anything from him. When I changed my mind, he said I didn't deserve a single cent. Michael studied the face of the woman he'd been married to for 10 years. He knew every expression, every tell when she was lying or being sincere. And in that moment, he believed her. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I was afraid. Afraid you'd think I was making it all up to get more money. Afraid you wouldn't believe me. And most of all, afraid of losing the kids. Losing the kids. Mr. Wilson said if I said anything, he'd use my initial involvement in the scheme to prove I was an unfit mother. That you'd get full custody of the boys. Michael felt a mix of anger and understanding. Jennifer had made a mistake, yes, but it was one born from a mother's desperation to feed her children. Jennifer, I need time to process all this. Are you leaving? She asked, panic clear in her voice. I'm not leaving, but I need to understand this whole situation better. The next morning, Michael hired a detective specialized in cybercrimes to analyze the emails Mr. Wilson had shown. The results confirmed his suspicions. The documents were elaborate forgeries, recently created to frame Jennifer. When confronted with the evidence, Mr. Wilson confessed to everything. He had been embezzling the money since the first month, creating a fake account in Jennifer's name. When he realized Michael was suspicious, he planned to pin all the blame on his ex-wife. She agreed to stay silent, Mr. Wilson protested. That makes her an accomplice. For how long? Michael asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3. 3 weeks of forced complicity out of desperation versus 6 months of premeditated embezzlement. The difference was glaring. With proof of Jennifer's innocence in hand, Michael managed not only to recover all the embezzled money, but also to sue Mr. Wilson for fraud and document forgery. But the money, though important, was no longer the central issue. The central issue was rebuilding lost trust and figuring out how to move forward as a family. Jennifer, I forgive you, Michael said one night after the children had gone to sleep. Thank you, she replied, but her voice didn't sound relieved. What's wrong? Michael, I don't want your forgiveness out of pity. I want you to understand that I did what I did because I was desperate to feed our children. I understand. Do you really? Or are you just saying that because you feel guilty? The question was direct, painful, and necessary. At first it was guilt, Michael admitted, but now it's different. Now I see you as a mother who did everything to protect our kids, even accepting something morally questionable when you had no other choice. And what does that mean for us? It means I want to be a present father in Ethan and Noah's lives, and I want you to trust me to do that. What about the two of us? Michael was silent for a long moment. The two of us? That's more complicated, Jennifer. We have too much history, too much hurt piled up. I don't know if we can be a couple again. I don't know either, she admitted. But maybe we can be a family in a different way. And so they began to build something new. They were no longer husband and wife, but they were partners in raising their children. Michael started picking Ethan up from school every day, taking Noah to doctor's appointments, and attending parent-teacher meetings. Jennifer, with financial help from her ex-husband, was able to return to school and specialize in digital marketing. She didn't want to depend on Michael's support forever. She wanted to reclaim her financial independence. Little by little, the family dynamic reorganized itself. Michael rented an apartment in the same building where Jennifer lived with the kids. This way, he could be present without it meaning a forced reconciliation. Ethan flourished with his father's constant presence. His grades improved, he smiled more often, and most importantly, he got to be a child again. He no longer had to care for his little brother like a miniature adult. Noah, who had spent the first months of his life in an environment of tension and deprivation, became a happy, healthy baby. He had a present father and a mother who no longer had to work 16-hour days. Mrs. Davis became an official part of the family. She helped care for the children when neither Michael nor Jennifer could be there, and her wisdom and experience became invaluable to both parents. "You're doing the right thing," she told Michael one day. "Sometimes love doesn't mean staying together. Sometimes it means finding the best way to care for the people you love." 3 months after uncovering the fraud, Michael made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. He sold 40% of his consulting firm and used part of the money to start a business in partnership with Jennifer. "A digital marketing company specializing in small family businesses," he explained to her. "You have the technical expertise, I have the business experience. Together we can help other families thrive." "Michael, are you sure about this?" Jennifer asked, still skeptical. "Isn't this just another way for you to try to control my life?" "No. It's a way for both of us to build something together, even if we're no longer a couple. Our kids will grow up seeing their parents collaborate, respect each other, and work toward common goals." The company, Family and Business, was a success from the very first month. Jennifer discovered she had a natural talent for understanding the needs of small family business owners, while Michael used his network and experience to attract clients and secure partnerships. More important than the financial success, however, was what the professional partnership did for their family dynamic. Ethan and Noah grew up seeing their parents as a team, not a romantic team, but a solid, respectful parental team. "Mommy and Daddy work together?" Ethan asked one day. "Yes, sweetheart. We work together to take care of you and help other families too. But you don't live in the same house." "We don't need to live in the same house to be a family, Ethan. Family is about caring for each other, being there for the important moments, and working together toward the same goals." A year after the day Michael found his children searching for food in the trash, the family gathered in Central Park to celebrate the company's first anniversary. Ethan chased after Noah, who was now walking steadily and laughing loudly with every game. Mrs. Davis had prepared a picnic, and even some of the company's employees were there with their families. "Michael," Jennifer said, sitting beside him on the grass, "thank you." "For what?" "For not giving up on us, for fighting to uncover the truth, for finding a way for us to still be a family after everything that happened." "Thank you too." "For what?" "For being such a strong mother who protected our children even when I wasn't there. For giving me a second chance to be the father I should have been from the start." Ethan came running over with Noah in his arms. "Dad, Mom, look, Noah's talking." The baby, now almost 2, babbled sounds that resembled Mama and Dada. "He'll be talking soon," Ethan said with big brother pride. "I'll teach him to say everyone's name in the family." "Who's in our family, Ethan?" Michael asked. "You, Mommy, me, Noah, Mrs. Davis." The boy paused thoughtfully. "And everyone else who takes care of us too." Michael looked around and realized Ethan was right. Family wasn't just about who lived in the same house or shared the same last name. Family was everyone who genuinely cared for one another, who showed up in hard times, who worked together to create an environment of love and security. As the sun set and they packed up the picnic, Jennifer asked a question she'd held on to for months. "Michael, do you regret the divorce?" He thought carefully before answering. "I regret the way our marriage ended. I regret not being a better husband and father when I had the chance. But I don't regret the divorce itself." "Why?" "Because the divorce forced me to grow. Almost losing you all made me realize what truly matters in life. If we'd stayed married, Maybe I'd still be the man who thought working hard was the only way to show love for his family. And now? Now I know love is being present. It's being here when Ethan needs help with his homework. It's taking Noah to the doctor when he has a cold. It's being your partner in raising these kids even if we're no longer partners in life. That evening, after putting the children to bed, Michael stayed talking with Jennifer on her apartment balcony. The view wasn't spectacular, just the neighboring buildings and the bustle of the street, but there was a peace there that neither of them had felt in a long time. "You know what surprises me most about all this?" said Jennifer. "What?" "How we've become better parents apart than we were together. Maybe because now we know what really matters, and we know what we almost lost." "The kids are happy," Jennifer observed. "Ethan is acting like a kid again. Noah is thriving. They have two present parents, even if it's in a non-traditional way." "And you? Are you happy?" Jennifer smiled, a genuine smile, free of bitterness or sadness. "I am. For the first time in years, I'm truly happy. I have my financial independence, work I love, my kids are safe and healthy, and I have a co-parent I can trust." "A co-parent," Michael repeated, smiling too. "I like that term." 6 months later, the company, Family and Business, had helped over 200 small family businesses thrive. Michael and Jennifer discovered that their personal experience, the highs and lows, the mistakes and successes, the separation and reconciliation as a family, gave them a unique perspective for advising other entrepreneurs. They often met couples on the brink of divorce, parents losing touch with their kids because of work, families facing financial struggles, and in every case, they could offer not just technical solutions, but genuine understanding. "You two are an example," said Mrs. Johnson, a client who had saved her family's restaurant with their help. "You prove it's possible to rebuild relationships, even when everything seems lost." "We didn't rebuild our marriage," Jennifer corrected. "We built something new, something that works better for our specific family." Ethan, now 9, had become something of the company's mascot. He often showed up at the office after school, did his homework while his parents finished work, and had even started his own little business drawing pictures for clients' children. Noah, about to turn 2, was the office's joy. All the employees treated him like a nephew, and he had learned to say good morning to everyone he met. One afternoon, while organizing office papers, Michael found an old drawing Ethan had made, the one from the day his father reappeared in his life. It was the happy family drawing at the park. "Jennifer, look at this," he said, showing her the crumpled paper. She smiled fondly. "He made his drawing come true, didn't he? Not exactly how he imagined, but close." "How do you think he imagined it?" "Probably the two of us living in the same house, being a traditional couple. But what he really wanted was a united family, where his parents respected each other and took care of him and his brother. And that's what we managed." That weekend, the whole family went to visit Mrs. Davis, who had been hospitalized with mild pneumonia. The 70-year-old was in good spirits, complaining they wanted to keep her in the hospital for every little thing. "Mrs. Davis," Ethan said, sitting in the chair beside her bed, "you're part of our family, right?" "Of course, sweetheart. You're the grandchildren I never had. So when you get out of here, will you come live with us?" Mrs. Davis looked at Michael and Jennifer, who exchanged an agreeing glance. "If you want a grumpy old lady nagging you every day," she joked. "We do," shouted Noah, who was learning to form complete sentences. And so the family grew a little more. Mrs. Davis moved into an apartment on the same floor as Jennifer, maintaining her independence, but always being there when needed. The routine settled in naturally and harmoniously. Michael picked up the kids from school on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Jennifer stayed with them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On weekends, they alternated or did activities all together, depending on what was happening. The children never questioned this arrangement. For them, it was normal to have 2 homes, 2 bedrooms, 2 routines that complemented each other perfectly. What mattered was that there was always an adult present, always food on the table, always affection and attention. One day, Ethan asked a question that caught Michael off guard. "Dad, Why don't you and Mom get married again? Why do you want us to get married again, son? I don't know. My friend's parents all live in the same house. And would you like us to live in the same house? Ethan thought for a long moment. Sometimes, yes. But sometimes I like having 2 bedrooms, 2 houses to play in. And you two are always happy now. When you lived together, there was a lot of fighting. The child's honesty was revealing. The kids had adapted to the new family dynamic and, in fact, seemed to prefer their parents happy and separated rather than unhappy and married. During one of the company meetings, Michael and Jennifer received a proposal that would change everything again. A major business consulting firm from New York City wanted to buy Family and Business for an amount that would secure the financial future of everyone involved. It's a tempting offer, Jennifer said, studying the documents. Very tempting, Michael agreed. But what do you think? Do we sell or keep running our own business? Let me ask you something. Are you happy doing what we're doing? Very happy. For the first time in my life, I feel like my work has real purpose. We're helping families, not just making money. Then we have our answer. They turned down the offer and decided to expand the company, keeping their focus on small family businesses. The decision proved to be the right one. Within 2 years, Family and Business became a national reference in family business consulting. More important than professional success, however, was what this decision represented. Michael and Jennifer had learned to make choices not just for immediate profit, but for the long-term impact on their lives and their children's lives. Ethan, now 10, already talked about following in his parents' footsteps and having his own business one day. Noah, 3, was a cheerful and talkative child who loved helping at the office by organizing papers and greeting clients. One Sunday afternoon, the whole family gathered at Jennifer's apartment to prepare a special dinner celebrating the company's 2nd anniversary. Mrs. Davis took charge of the kitchen with a firm hand while Ethan helped look after Noah, and Michael and Jennifer wrapped up some presentations for the following week. You know what I was thinking? Jennifer said, stopping typing. What? Michael asked, not looking up from his laptop. We did it. We managed to be a happy family, even after everything that happened. Michael closed the laptop and looked at her. We really did. And you know what the secret was? What? Understanding that family isn't about living in the same house or sharing the same last name. It's about being present, genuinely caring for each other, working together toward the same goals. And about putting the kids first. Always. Always, Michael agreed. At that moment, Ethan appeared in the living room doorway, holding Noah in his arms. Dad, Mom, Noah wants to show you something. Noah, with his words still a bit halting but full of enthusiasm, pointed to a drawing he had scribbled, Look, family. The drawing showed 5 stick figures, 2 adults, 2 children, and an older person with grey hair. All were holding hands and smiling. Who's who in the drawing, Noah? Asked Jennifer. Daddy, he said, pointing to one figure. Mommy, he pointed to another. Ethan, me, Grandma Martha. And why is everyone holding hands? Because family stays together, he replied with the profound simplicity of children. Michael and Jennifer exchanged glances, both with tears in their eyes. Their children had perfectly understood what family was, even growing up in a non-traditional structure. That evening, after dinner and putting the children to bed, Michael and Jennifer sat on the porch to talk, as had become their Sunday routine. Michael, can I ask you a personal question? Of course. Do you ever miss having a partner? A girlfriend, a wife? The question took Michael by surprise, but he thought honestly before answering. Sometimes yes, but not in the way you might think. I miss sharing certain things with someone, having company to go to the movies or out to dinner. But I don't miss having a wife in the traditional sense. Why? Because my life is complete. I have my kids, my work, our parenting partnership, Mrs. Davis, who's become like a mother to me. He laughed. I have a family, Jennifer, different from the traditional one, but complete. What about you? He asked. Do you ever miss having a partner? Sometimes too. But like you, not in the traditional way. I feel fulfilled with the life I've built. I have my independence, my work, my kids, an ex-husband who's become my best parenting partner. Your best parenting partner, Michael repeated, smiling. I'm liking that title more and more. They sat in silence for a few minutes, watching the street below. Michael, do you think we're setting an example for the kids? How so? They're growing up seeing that it's possible to overcome conflict, rebuild relationships, and work together even after a separation. Do you think that's a good example? I think it's the best example we could give. We've shown that mistakes can be fixed, that relationships can be transformed, that family is about love and care, not rigid structures. And we've shown that mother and father can be happy, even without being husband and wife. Exactly. Ethan and Noah will grow up knowing that love isn't about possession, that family isn't about control, that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and cooperation. 3 years had passed since that terrible day when Michael found his children searching for food in the trash. The date had become an unofficial anniversary for the family, the day everything began to change for the better. Ethan, now 13, was in his first year of high school. He was a responsible teenager, a good student, who maintained a close relationship with both his father and mother. He had learned early on that he could count on both parents for anything. Noah, 5 years old, was an outgoing, happy child about to start elementary school. He had no memories of the difficult period the family had faced. To him, it had always been normal to have 2 homes, 2 bedrooms, and parents who worked together but lived apart. The company, family, and business had become a national success, with offices in 3 states. More important than the financial success, however, was the social impact. Hundreds of families had been helped to overcome hardships and rebuild their businesses and relationships. Mrs. Davis, now 75, remained the emotional pillar of the family. She had officially become the children's grandmother, and her life wisdom often helped Michael and Jennifer make important decisions. One Friday afternoon, Michael was in the office wrapping up some loose ends when he received an unexpected call. "Michael, it's Mr. Wilson." The former lawyer had served time for embezzlement and document forgery and was now trying to rebuild his life. "What do you want, Robert?" "I want to apologize. In person and maybe talk about a job opportunity." Michael sighed. Part of him wanted to hang up immediately. Part of him was curious. "What kind of opportunity?" "I'm setting up a social project to help former inmates reintegrate into the workforce. I thought you, with your company's experience, might give me some advice, maybe even some consulting." "Robert, you almost destroyed my family. I know, and I regret it every day, but that's exactly why I thought of you. You managed to turn a terrible situation into something positive. Maybe you could help others do the same." Michael promised to think about it and discussed it with Jennifer later that evening. "What do you think?" he asked. "I think forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, but it also doesn't mean holding a grudge forever. If he's really changed, maybe it's time to give him a second chance." "Could you work with him?" "If it's to help others, yes, but with a lot of caution and oversight." They decided to provide limited consulting for Mr. Wilson's project, but kept their professional and personal distance. It was a decision that taught their children another valuable lesson. Forgiveness is possible, but trust must be rebuilt gradually. Mr. Wilson's social project became a success, helping dozens of former inmates find jobs and rebuild their lives. Michael and Jennifer's involvement was crucial, and they discovered a special satisfaction in helping people who had lost nearly everything start over. One Saturday afternoon, the whole family was gathered in Michael's apartment watching a movie. Ethan was on the couch with Noah in his lap, teaching his younger brother to read the subtitles. Mrs. Davis knitted in her favorite armchair, while Michael and Jennifer shared the other couch. "Can I ask a question?" Ethan suddenly said. "Of course," his parents replied in unison. "Do you think our family is weird?" "Why do you ask that?" Jennifer wondered. "Because at school, some friends say it's weird that my parents are divorced but still work together and spend so much time together." Michael and Jennifer exchanged a glance. "Ethan," Michael said, "what matters isn't what others think of our family. What matters is whether we're happy and whether we take good care of each other." "And are you happy?" "Very happy," Jennifer replied. "Maybe not in the traditional way, but we are happy." "And me?" Do you take good care of me and Noah?" "What do you think?" Michael asked. Ethan thought for a moment. "I think so. You're always there when we need you. You work together to take care of us. You don't fight anymore. And we have Grandma Martha, too." "Then our family isn't weird," Mrs. Davis said, looking up from her knitting. "Our family is special. It's different, but it's special." "Why?" Noah asked. "Because you have double the love," the older woman explained. "You have a present father and a present mother. You have two homes where you're loved. You have parents who learn to work together even after separating. That's not common, my dear, that's a gift." That night, after the children had gone to bed, Michael and Jennifer stayed in the kitchen talking as they washed the dinner dishes. "Do you think we made the right choices?" Jennifer asked. "I think we made the choices we could," Michael replied, "and they proved to be right for our family. It wasn't easy. Nothing worthwhile is easy. But look at the result. Ethan and Noah are happy, secure children who know they're loved. We're better people than we were 3 years ago. Our company helps other families. Even Mr. Wilson got a second chance." "And us?" Jennifer asked. "How would you define what we are today?" Michael dried his hands on the towel and leaned against the sink, thinking. "We're a family. Not a traditional family, but a real one. We're partners in life even though we're not married. We're friends even though we were enemies for a while. We're companions on this journey, even if we're walking different paths." I like that definition. The following month, Michael and Jennifer received an invitation that left them surprised and proud. A university in Washington, D.C. wanted them to give a lecture on non-traditional families and business success. "You two are an inspiring example," said the professor who invited them. "You show it's possible to rebuild family and professional relationships even after major conflicts." The lecture was a success. The audience, mostly business and psychology students, was fascinated by the family's story. During the Q&A, a young woman raised her hand. "Don't you feel like you're missing out by not being married?" "What do you think we're missing?" Jennifer countered. "I don't know. Intimacy, constant companionship, romantic partnership." Michael and Jennifer exchanged a glance and smiled. "We have intimacy," Michael replied. "The intimacy of people who know each other deeply, who share the same goals, who trust each other completely." "We have constant companionship," Jennifer added. "The companionship of our children, of Mrs. Davis, of the family we chose to build." "And what about romantic partnership?" the student pressed. "Romance can fade," Michael said. "But love for our children, mutual respect, the partnership to build something bigger than ourselves, that lasts forever." After the lecture, while waiting for their flight back to New York City, Jennifer reflected, "You know, Michael, I think today I finally fully understood what we are." "What are we?" "We're two people who loved deeply, who made many mistakes, who suffered greatly, but who learned to turn all of that into something constructive. We're no longer husband and wife, but we're something much rarer. Ex-spouses who managed to become true friends and partners. And above all," Michael added, "we're two parents who decided our children's well-being was more important than our egos or personal grievances." 2 years later, Ethan was in his junior year of high school, and Noah was in second grade. Both were exemplary students and well-adjusted children who maintained healthy relationships with both their father and mother. The company Family and Business had expanded to other countries in Latin America, always keeping its focus on helping small family businesses. Michael and Jennifer had become international references in family business consulting. Mrs. Davis, now 78, remained the heart of the family. Her health was good, her energy enviable, and her wisdom still guided all major decisions. One Sunday morning during their weekly family breakfast, Noah asked a question that surprised everyone. "Grandma Martha, do you think our family is normal?" "Normal how?" she asked, serving more pancakes. "Normal like the families on TV, in movies." Mrs. Davis stopped what she was doing and looked at the boy affectionately. "My dear, there's no such thing as a normal family. There are happy families and unhappy families. There are families who love and care for each other and families who don't. And what kind of family are we? You are a family that loves each other deeply, that takes good care of one another, that works together to be happy. That's what matters. Ethan, who had been listening quietly, added, "Noah, remember when we were little and went through hard times?" "Not really." "I do. And I remember that even during that tough time, our family loved each other. Mom worked so hard to take care of us, and when Dad found out, he did everything to help. And now? Now we have the best family I know. We have two dads who respect each other, who work together, who are always there for us. We have Grandma Martha, the coolest grandma in the world. We have a home full of love." Michael and Jennifer listened in silence, tears in their eyes. Their children had perfectly understood what truly mattered in a family. After breakfast, while the kids played and Mrs. Davis rested, Michael and Jennifer went for a walk in the park, as they did every Sunday. "Can you imagine where we'd be today if that lawyer hadn't stolen the money?" Jennifer asked. "Probably I'd still be that workaholic businessman who thought giving money was enough to be a good father. You'd still feel abandoned and misunderstood. The kids would have grown up feeling neglected. And we probably would have ended up separating anyway, but in a much more toxic way. It's ironic, isn't it?" Michael reflected. "The worst thing that happened to our family turned out to be the best thing that could have happened. Because it forced us to rethink everything. It forced us to grow both individually and as parents. And it taught us that family isn't about convenience or social conventions. It's about commitment, love, and working together." They walked in silence for a few minutes, watching other families in the park. There were couples with young children, grandparents playing with grandchildren, teenagers playing soccer with their parents. "Look," Jennifer said, pointing to a nearby bench. "That family over there looks so happy." Michael glanced in that direction. It was a man and a woman seemingly married with two young kids. They were having a picnic and everyone was smiling. "They do," he agreed. "But you know what stands out to me the most?" "What?" "It's not their family structure that makes them happy. It's the love, the attention, the care they show each other. Exactly what we have, just in a different way." "Exactly." When they got home, they found Ethan helping Noah with a school project about family. Noah had chosen to do a presentation titled, "My Special Family." "Can I show you?" Noah asked excitedly. The project was a collection of drawings and photos showing different family moments. There were pictures of the office where his parents worked, of Mrs. Davis teaching Ethan how to knit, of everyone together in the park, of birthdays and celebrations. On each page, Noah had carefully written a sentence about his family in his neat handwriting. "My family is special because my parents work together even though they're apart. My family is special because I have 2 rooms and 2 homes where I'm very loved. My family is special because I have a grandma with a big heart who takes care of all of us. My family is special because they taught me that family isn't about living together. It's about loving each other always." The last page had a photo of all 5 of them, Michael, Jennifer, Ethan, Noah, and Mrs. Davis, taken during the company's last anniversary. Underneath, Noah had written, "This is my happy family. We're different, but we're happy. And that's what matters." Michael and Jennifer were moved by the presentation. "Noah, you're right," Michael said. "We're different, but we're very happy." "And do you know why?" Jennifer added. "Because every single one of us chooses every day to be part of this family. We're not together because we have to be, but because we want to be." That evening, after a perfect family Sunday, Michael was in his apartment getting ready for another work week when he received a message from Ethan. "Dad, thank you for finding us that day. Thank you for fighting for our family. I love you." He replied right away, "Thank you, son, for giving me the chance to be the father I always should have been. I love you so much." In the next apartment, Jennifer got a similar message from Noah, written with his older brother's help. "Mom, thank you for taking care of us when things were hard. You're the best mom in the world." With a full heart, she replied, "Thank you both for being the most wonderful children a mother could ask for. You are my life." And so, 5 years after that terrible day when Michael found his children searching for food in the trash, the Thompson family had not only survived their hardships, but had flourished in ways none of them could have imagined. They had learned that family isn't about perfection, but about love. It's not about traditional structures, but about genuine commitment. It's not about never making mistakes, but about growing and improving together. Most importantly, they had discovered that sometimes the worst experiences in life can lead to the best outcomes, as long as we face challenges with courage, humility, and love. The end. Now tell us what you thought of this story and where you're watching from. If you have something to share with us, leave a heartfelt comment below. Do you believe Michael and Jennifer made the right choices for their children? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like this video and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other touching stories.